I thought it's 5 days straight. Let's do audio test levels.
Audio testing. Hello.
Test
hello,
1, 2,
hello.
3. So just
Hello.
talk normally. This is the way I'll
My
be
name
talking.
is Curtis and
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
talking normally.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hello. Did you watch Worlds last night? Hello. Did you watch Worlds, Nathan? Why are you ignoring me? Is that all good?
Yeah.
Is all good?
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be the same 24/7 or not?
What do you
just
mean?
changes. The audio levels.
I'll just check it. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because I do need to adjust it in the thing. I always make
I should be a little bit louder.
yeah.
For some reason, you talk louder.
How
than me.
weird is that, though? Is it because I like a little girly voice? Like, hey,
No.
oh, that's real surprising. But you're like, okay.
No, that's not it. It's the other way around, dude.
Why
I
is
got
that?
a high voice.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound.
I don't know,
Do I
man.
really have a deeper voice than you?
Yeah, definitely. You've always had a deeper voice than
Really?
me.
Because I hit puberty earlier
No,
than you.
because you didn't get bullied online and I did.
No, but that's not how puberty works, Curtis.
Yeah.
You eventually hit it eventually, you know?
Yeah, I don't
Even
know.
though it was like when you were 18.
I was literally afraid to use the mic button on Counter-Strike. I was terrified. Some like 40-year-old like tradie, like 40-year-old bricklayer.
So what are you scared of? What are they going to say to you?
They just say you a little girl, like this guy's a little girl, this
And that
little
would affect
bitch.
But your voice wasn't that
It
bad.
was bad. It was bad. You know how I know it was bad? I heard a voicemail that I recorded on one of my old phones.
Oh, really?
That happens to so many people, by the way.
Oh, no.
They forget that they set a voicemail on their phone because they keep the same one for years. Yeah. And one day they check it and it's like them as like 12-year-old and they sound like a girl.
What did you say?
Hey guys, no, on my voicemail. Hey guys, it's Curtis here. Leave a message. Or some shit. And it's like, I literally sound like a girl. And I completely understood why
Really?
I got,
You got
flamed. Yeah.
Now you can look at it in hindsight.
Talking about cyberbullying, you guys in the podcast, the comments have been bullying me. Say I can't wear shorts anymore because you guys just said, Curtis, like you showing your legs, like what's going on and all this stuff. So I got cyberbullied. Now I can't wear shorts anymore thanks to you guys. So now I'm just incredibly insecure and I just got to go back to track pants. And now we got to wear this matching bullshit.
But what's more comfortable though, shorts or these?
To be honest, trackies are kind of more comfortable. But when it gets warmer,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to swap back to shorts
Shorts.
because we're heading into summer soon. Got to show off those pins.
I mean, I think that it's whatever's more comfortable for you, Curdy, works. You know, I don't think you should worry about the comment section.
Okay.
And they appreciate you at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I just cop it. It's like league. You just got to cop it. There's some
That's right.
There's some people who flame.
You do you.
Yeah.
They do them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I do enjoy trackies. I just feel chill. You know.
Yeah, but you don't wear them outside.
That's true. Yeah.
There was a golden rule in my house when I
Yeah.
was growing up. My dad always said, "You're not allowed to leave the house with trackies because you look like a bogan." And for those of you,
Have some respect for yourself.
yeah, have some respect for yourself. Put on some proper pants. So I was never allowed to leave the house with it. And now, as soon as like I moved out of home, I do it all the time. But he said that yes, it's not proper. You look like a bogan. And what a bogan is, if those of you who don't know what a bogan is just like basically like a redneck kind of in America. I'm assuming
Yeah, it's a
something like a redneck.
Rednecks have guns though, Curtis.
Yeah, we don't have guns in
we
Australia.
don't have guns, no.
All right. Well, welcome to episode 5.
Yes,
That's episode 5.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
We're halfway to
pumping.
10, man. Imagine
Wow.
when we hit double digits, dude. That'll feel pretty
so
good.
cool. Double digits, triple digits.
Triple digits is hard to get because it's an extra 90 episodes.
I reckon we'll get there.
I just don't like one. It's like episode 4 or 5. Because you know why? Because
Now, I want to get into the 20s and the 30s
Yeah,
and
that
the
feels
40s. That's
good,
where it feels you start to like really pick it up.
like 1, 2, 3, 4. It feels like a show that can get cancelled at any time. You know?
Yeah,
Because
there's no reliability
It
yet.
hasn't fully grown.
I want people to click on it and be like, wow, I see like 35 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, these guys are popping.
because people probably think that we'll just stop this soon.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly.
Like, you know, I always said we're going to do 1,000.
yeah.
People are like, yeah, come
No,
on.
but we actually
you know?
will.
But we actually
will.
We actually are.
I know
going
we
to.
will.
We will make it.
We'll definitely, I know we'll get in the hundreds for sure.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I
That's
know
right.
100% we'll get into the hundreds.
Yeah, we'll at least get 100.
So episode 5, where do you want to kick it off? Nate Duke?
All right, so where do I want to kick it off? Reddit. You're a Reddit user, aren't you, Curtis?
Yeah, I'm a Reddit goblin.
You call yourself a goblin at this stage?
Yeah, because I don't comment. I just like lurk.
You're
I'm a
lurk.
lurker.
But that's what a lot of people are like, but you don't contribute.
I don't contribute at all.
So are you a real Redditor if you contribute, right?
Yeah,
that makes
I'm not.
sense.
I wouldn't call myself a Reddit analyst.
Yeah.
because Reddit analysts piss me off.
Okay. Do you want to quickly touch on that, Curtis?
Well, a Reddit analyst.
Yeah.
Well, it's just people that are way too obsessed about theory and they're not practical.
Yeah.
You know, like practicality in League is so important. Like, okay, Actually, this ties into one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, thank you for reminding me.
Excellent.
So many silver and gold players are so. What are you doing?
I'm just checking this.
Oh my goodness, dude. Oh no.
I think we're good. It's recording. I'm
You
pretty
said
sure.
you said to me just before. You gave me a spiel saying
Well,
how competent you are.
I just gotta click this once.
What's that gonna do?
Ah, okay.
Oh,
Nah, it's all good. We're good.
oh no.
Yep. Sorry. All right, go on, Curtis. I'm just
Swear
double
to
checking.
God,
I'm an
is
amateur
this-
still.
Is this even recording?
It's recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
It ties into one of my biggest pet peeves.
Yeah.
Is there is a ridiculous amount of silver and gold players who spend more time talking about Boris and itemization than focusing on their gameplay. I don't give a if you're a silver.
Wait, what? Would you say Boris?
Yeah, Boris, the shopkeeper.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was his name.
Boris. You got Boris, the shopkeeper.
Yeah.
They spend so much time figuring out, should I build Leandris or Morellos? Should I build Ludens or Archangels? Should I build Rabadons or Spellbinder? It doesn't matter. That's like the 1%. If you're in silver and gold, itemization really doesn't matter.
Okay, so the point, it does matter, but it doesn't to the point where people emphasize that that's why they're winning or losing games.
It's nothing to do with the results.
They don't even say that. It's more just, I think it's because that's something that they can control, that you can control. So you feel like, oh, well, like, it's probably the easiest thing to make you a better player, you know? But but the harder thing to do is review your mistakes.
Well, but it's definitely important to
See where I'm
control the
coming
controllables.
Yeah, of course.
You want to control you want to control all the controllables
Yeah.
in your league experience. That's fine. But it's the way it's emphasized comparatively to the gameplay. Yes, okay, I'm not going to say it's not important. It is important, but it's equally, it's nowhere near as important as the gameplay. The gameplay always comes first. Okay, if you're worrying about getting perfect itemization, but you still can't hit like the all 6 CS in a minion wave, or you can't do a basic trading pattern, or you're not timing your trades with the enemy walking up to CS, or you don't know a basic jungle path. That is what comes way before itemization. Do you know how to operate your champion in a team fight? Because most people in silver and gold, they're barely scraping the surface of what's possible in terms of damage with their champion anyway, because of inefficient combos, missed opportunities, that sort of thing. If you focused all your attention there, you're going to get way more results. You could literally have the worst build ever.
Break down your time for me. You're coaching a platinum player, Curtis.
Platinum's a little bit different though. Plat is when like the small details start to come into play.
Okay, well, let's use that example then. Platinum player, how much percentage of the coaching session are you talking about items?
Okay, I like to talk about items in terms of champion identity.
Okay.
I don't like to talk about items in terms of just like what's better.
Yeah.
Like it's not about like the whole, okay, yes, if you do want to get very good at League of Legends, I do recommend like watching my itemization guide, really understanding how the stats work. But in terms of just like the average solo queue player, in terms of just really like just getting short-term results for yourself, it's more about your champion's identity. And that's where I really like to talk about itemization. I'm like this. Given Cassiopeia wants to play fights like this, building items like this makes sense because this is what it enables you to do. It double downs on your strength. It allows you to double down on your strengths and covers your weaknesses. But if you're just talking about what item's better in like kind of in like this floating thing that's like
this item's ready because I want to be right.
Yeah, it's not about the itemization doing more damage. Just bring it back to champion identity. That's why I like to talk about itemization at the start of my coaching sessions, just to make sure that they understand why they're doing what they're doing. Because yes, I don't care if your runes or your builds are like not suboptimal, but if you're not understanding why it's not suboptimal, or like your reasoning doesn't make sense, then that's a problem with your champion identity understanding. And that can actually have massive effects on the way you play your game, which over the long run you miss opportunities, put yourself in sticky situations or whatever. So that's why I always like to bring it back to champion identity, essentially. In my coaching sessions anyway.
Put a percentage on it. How much would you talk about that?
I like to spend at least a good, if I do my kangaroo tier clients, I like to spend a good 10 minutes.
So of an hour?
That's
about, I'm so bad at percentages, but it's probably about 15%?
Around 15%, yeah. Of the coaching session is just items. That's champion identity, runes, items.
And then 85 is on gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's a pretty good ratio in terms of where you should put your time and energy anyway.
So
But it doesn't need to be done multiple times. It's just once.
Yep.
Once
Talk
you
about
understand it,
done.
done.
Got it.
I don't need to go over it again. Like I did a session this morning with someone and we barely went over itemization of runes because, again, I've had a session with him before. He should understand it.
Reddit analysts are important though, I think, in an aspect. I don't want to think about items all day. I love decision making and pathing and mechanics. Those people, they can be there and do their stuff, but I'd say that your problem with Reddit analysts, I share similar thoughts to you on this as well, is that just their complete emphasis is probably like 80, it's probably switched. 85% is like on items.
No, but I even disagree.
Or you straight up flat disagree.
I even disagree with the theories a lot of the time.
Because they're not practical enough.
It's like the LS thing. I disagree with the LS thing as well. So like LS actually made a comment about Barbip's Nidalee build.
Yeah. So this is from the plains yesterday.
In the plains. So, no, this was the day before.
Okay.
When Barbip played Nidalee and it was the set comp. They had set that he was the only AP on the team. And then he went he was actually got ahead in the early game and he went Oblivion Orb Sorks. And I think that's going double flat pen into a team comp where they have 0 MR and you're the only AP as a carry champion like Nidalee. I think that's really good.
And what was his
thing? He's like, he should have just went. He said he should have. Why is Barbit building like full carry? He should be building Athenes and playing for the Ezreal or whatever it was, or the Tristana. But I feel like if you're the only AP, you need to have threat.
Yeah, you have to have threat.
Like, yes, in theory, going Athenes is great, and it's great for that team comp. But in terms of practicality, like, I want my Nidalee to be a carry threat.
Dude, I think Nidalee's a great carry.
Yeah, exactly.
She's damage, man. She's
damage.
Threat. Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, maybe if you're talking about just raw, like, maths or whatever, and the sexiness of a build or whatever, cool, Athenes is great. But just in terms of practicality in the game, I just flat disagree. And I think there's a lot of other things that I disagree with Reddit in terms of itemization, is they're not thinking about, okay, the biggest one. People over-exaggerate Morellos. People think it's like this awful item, but they don't understand. The people completely disregard. Yes, okay. I think there is a lot of people that build Morellos in the wrong situations when they don't need the healing reduction at all. But a lot of the time, that's actually why that Zoe player, there's that super high elo Zoe player in Korea, right? His build every single game is Ludens into Morellos. This guy's
really?
at rank 3.
Interesting.
And he always goes the same build. Ludens into Morellos no matter what. It doesn't matter if they have healing or not. And because he likes the early flat magic pen, and he also, more importantly, he really wants durability. Where else are you going to get HP in your build? You don't want to build Leandri's on Zoe.
You don't build rods.
You don't build Rod of Ages. Yeah. You're not going to build... you can build Protobelt, but he doesn't like to go Protobelt.
No, that doesn't make sense.
Well, Protobelt is always actually decent.
Is it really?
Yeah. Because you can like animation cancel and stuff like that. But he goes this same build.
Yeah.
And people on Reddit and you can talk as much shit as you want. This guy is a practitioner.
He's ranked 3
on the Korean server in the hardest, most competitive league in the world. For a reason. And he has success because that durability means a lot because he plays a very aggressive, low range, chaotic style where the early magic pen comes in handy. The durability that Morellos gives you is a very solid item, regardless of the healing reduction. So I think that there's a line between, yes, the theory is important and it is important to understand what the inefficiencies are and the efficiencies are of items. But then you got to add a whole nother layer, which is how the game is played out, how fights are getting played out. What is the range of your champion? Do you need durability? Do you not need durability? Like, there's all these other elements of the game that people don't take into account of just raw execution. Which I mean, you got to have a discussion. You got to be open to both aspects. But I just think we put way too much emphasis.
That's the problem.
Way too much emphasis on the efficiency, the gold amount, the theory, rather than the what feels best.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I think anyway.
We covered that. So where I was going with the whole Reddit thing, Curtis. There's a post that 10 hours ago on Reddit. Obviously, Worlds has started about the planes, and Broxah, the Reddit thread's title, it's got literally 7.5 thousand upvotes and 800 comments. Broxah's tweet on the negative comments teams have been receiving, and his tweet comment was, "It's tiring to always see the community throwing loads of negative/toxic comments towards teams and players after a few losses. LEC fans send tons of love towards all Mad Lions members if you actually want to help them." So this is because Mad Lions, they lost to
Mad Lions also super massive last
Yeah,
night.
yeah. So they're just getting flamed, right?
Yeah.
And then dragging the players down won't help anyone. Thank you. That's his tweet. And then the Reddit poster goes, personally, I'm glad he spoke about this because the amount of hate targeted at players in their own Twitter comment sections is too much. IMO. And then the top comment says, I think the unfortunate, this is a 2.5k upvotes. I think the unfortunate reality is in these situations are only going to get worse the more mainstream league becomes. Football players, managers, coaches, commentators, etc. get it non-stop.
Yep.
Regrettably, I think this sort of thing just comes with the territory. What we can do, however, is at least try and slow the tide, call people out when they're being assholes and keeping ourselves in check. So, what do you think about that comment? What do you think about negative comments in terms of, we can call league, a sport. I mean,
it's a sport.
You know, there's fans, people hate to see their region. People have pride in their regions. Obviously, the US players are really angry at Mad Lions. Does it need to be?
And he's probably also talking about LGD in China.
LGD, they're probably getting their own fair share.
They're getting obliterated.
You know?
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Curdy? All right, firstly, is there too much hate?
I actually kind of like it in a weird way.
Okay, explain.
Because that's what makes sport exciting. You want to get behind your region. You want to, like, even me, I get frustrated watching Legacy, even though I'm not a fan of Legacy, but because they're representing my region,
yeah.
I'm in Oceania, I play in Oceania, there's an element of pride there. When they mess up, it makes me frustrated. I'm not going to go to the level of saying, screw you and I hope your family does all this, whatever. But I kind of like it in a way. I mean, it gives that competitive intensity, that environment. It's what makes world. It's high pressure. This is it.
You have one chance.
You have one chance. It's all the pressure and that's what makes it exciting. It's all on you. It's all in that one game. These best of ones, these random, like, quick play-ins. You're going to make it or you're not. And the group stages, you're out so quick. You've got to make top 2 in your group. Like, I love that intensity. Now, yes, being a player, I think it just comes with the territory. You can't expect to have everything else and then not get the hate. You get the fame, you get the money, you get the girls, you're playing on stage, having fun, you're famous, everything. You can't expect to have the dark side of it. If you underperform and you play like shit,
you're in the spotlight at the end of the day.
You're in the spotlight. That's
you
your responsibility.
Will be critiqued.
I always like to talk about the role of being, say, a politician. I like to talk about this. It is say you're a president of a country. Let's say Donald Trump, for example. You don't know what's going to happen during your presidency. You don't know if there's going to be a world pandemic. You don't know if there's going to be a world war, a nuclear war, a nuclear arms race. You don't know what's going to happen during a terrorist attack. You don't know what's going to happen during your presidency. But it is your responsibility to accept what comes with that power. You get all these benefits. You have all the power in the world. You can literally do whatever you want. But you got to be willing to step up when the time comes, make sacrifices, put a disproportionate amount of work in, and take you got to make those sacrifices. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. And I just feel like it's just one of those weird jobs. It's one of those rare jobs or rare, what do you call them, careers, in which it has a lot of positives, but it also has a lot of negatives. It's the same with being famous as a celebrity. You're going to get a lot of love when you do a great movie, or when everyone, is looking at your movie premiere or whatever. You get all the money, the women, whatever. But then on the flip side, you get drunk one night, make a mistake, get taking this photo of you falling out of a cab or whatever, and everyone, your face is all over the magazines. That comes with the territory. You think, yes, movie stars don't like journalists for that reason and things like that, but paparazzi, but that's just the reality, man. That's just the way the world works. Like, I don't think, for me personally, I'm not going to say I want to condone it, but I'm completely fine with it. And to be honest with you, it actually kind of adds a bit of excitement and intensity to the sport.
Does social media amplify that though? Because let's think about how times have changed. So let's say you're a celebrity, and then you're in the 80s or something like that, right? You do something, as you said, you publicly drunk or something like that. You do something really bad. A couple of articles come out, but at the end of the day, you probably don't have some sort of angry mob that's constantly can be throwing a tweet at you at all times, every second, right? That's really a new thing in the last 10 years.
Yeah, but what's this kind of ties into that cyberbullying thing. You remember that Tyler? There's that really funny quote from Tyler the Creator.
Yeah.
Like Tyler the Creator, the rapper.
Yeah.
There was like this is when cyberbullying was becoming a thing, like really popular. And then Tyler the Creator, he said like this funny tweet. It was like, I don't know if it was a tweet or whatever. It was like, just walk away from the fucking keyboard. Like walk away from the screen.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to look at the screen.
Yeah.
I kind of feel the same way.
Okay, so a lot of people hate that, by the way, because they're like, well, you can't just, at the end of the day, it's there, right? Like the bullying and stuff like that.
Yeah, but like you don't have to look at it, man. Like especially if you're at Worlds.
Yeah.
Why do you need to go on social media?
So brings me to my next point.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's think about this here, Curtis. So how you said, fame, that sort of stuff. This is the thing. This is what you have to deal with. Let's put into perspective as well here. I'm trying to do all sides of the argument.
Yeah,
I actually haven't said my stance right now.
Yeah.
You obviously heard your stance. So these are 17, 18-year-old kids. This is the first time they're on the big stage. And what's the first thing you're going to do? What happened, Curtis, when our first Worlds, 2017, when we were in the playing stage? I think we lost to Cloud9 or something like that.
Everyone went
What
on their
was the
phone.
first thing our players did? The first thing, before we even talked about the game.
They went on Reddit, didn't they? On their
Straight
phones.
onto Reddit.
All of them. Yeah.
They wanted to see what people were saying, because this is the first time that there's so much attention around them. They would say, well, what are people saying about me? Like, I'm on the big stage. This is so exciting to me. Okay.
Everyone went on their phones. I remember, and Jono cracked it, remember? Jono
Our
was like,
performance
what are
director,
you doing?
but no one really thought much of it. It's like, well, this is awesome. Like, I watch Reddit all the time. Now I'm on Reddit. Okay. So this is the first time, and they're reading these comments. They're reading the comments. I mean, we saw them scrolling. I remember just scrolling, just reading every comment, because they're just like, what's everyone talking about? I mean, negative or positive, right? And you know how you said there, well, you don't do that, but you can't help yourself when this is your first time. So I think one of the actual comments in the thread were talking about, well, these players aren't trained for this.
They're not.
You're just not. You're actually set up to fail. You really do. If you fail on the world stage, your career, and I think that people's careers, I mean, I think there's so many examples of people's careers that are just over from not being able to handle this pressure from Reddit and stuff like that, because they read the comments and then that affects them. And I think this is what's going to happen to all of these players, So I think that thing is they're not trained for it. And I think it's unrealistic to just again say, well, just walk away from it, because again, you can't help it. This is the first time you're on the stage. But the most dangerous thing, Code, is it's not the negative comments. I think it's actually the positive comments that's more dangerous than the negative comments, believe it or not.
In terms of what?
In terms of always thinking, what are other people thinking about my gameplay? Why is this person's opinion? Like, at the end of the day, you have your teammates, your coaching staff, maybe your personal coaches. What matters at the end of the day is the work you're doing with them, the close circle, your opinions of each of your work, your level of play, your opinions of each other, of people that you respect and that you actually know you.
Actually know you.
And
actually know what's going on.
That's what matters. But if you start getting positive comments saying, oh, this guy does really good, and it makes you feel good, at the end of the day, you're still going to be craving for the opinion of like, okay, so that person's making me feel good. And then next time I lose, then that person's suddenly saying, I'm just terrible, I should, go die or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that, again, it's the whole idea of like letting other people's like literally enter in your mind. Simply that, like just the fact of reading it. And I think that celebrities are celebrities are actually very good at dealing with this sort of stuff because they're trained.
They're probably trained, yeah.
They don't even use, and this is the thing as well, they like, celebrities, because they don't use their social media accounts.
A lot of the time they don't. It's their managers.
They're managers.
They
don't ever read
They
anything.
don't.
You think Donald Trump reads a single comment?
I don't know. I don't know about Donald Trump.
There's no way. No, he
does his tweets.
He does his tweets, but there's no way he reads his comments.
Well,
he just puts shit out there.
Well, I see your point for sure. I mean, and that ties into like, this is not even just league really. This is just social media in general. It's like, it doesn't. Okay, you could actually theoretically get rewarded for bad behavior. Let's just say something happens where the way the game pans out, but you won the game in a weird way.
Exactly right. That's where positive comments come from, and that's why they're dangerous. You have to look at. You talk to your coaches, your players, and that's all the opinions that you talk about.
And it's so fascinating because that's even like in real life with Instagram. You know, there's people who buy, like they rent a mansion from Airbnb and then they post like a photo on
just
Instagram.
For the positive comments.
And then they get rewarded, that they're actually getting rewarded for that for that behavior, which is actually just ridiculous.
It's dangerous. It will break you down mentally over time. It will eventually, because you're always craving for that that comment, that again, but at the end of the day, what matters the most is the people closest to you who respect you and know you.
But it matters okay, let's be more specific here. It matters because the opinions of those who are around you and know the reality of the situation, those opinions matter because they're very accurate, and they can give you an accurate representation or an accurate opinion of both how you can replicate great behavior and good action, and how we can minimize the chances of bad things happening, bad gameplay, and actually be literally accurately identifying what is good and what we want to replicate and what we don't want to replicate. But if you get someone in Twitch chat, in the Reddit comments, for example, could say, why are they playing on top every game? On top's trash, and like this guy can't play on. And then in your mind, you're like, holy shit, maybe they're right. Maybe I shouldn't play on, and like maybe we shouldn't be playing these champs at all. And is our gameplay just bad, or like? And then your coach has seen all your scrims, knows you better than anyone else. Your players around you, you've had it. You're forgetting about your team's identity. You're forgetting about you as a player, how your team wins games, how your team operates, how the meta is. These guys on Reddit have no about the meta. They don't know how draft pans out and how hard it is to pick specific champions in the draft phase. And that's actually people that, especially on Reddit, have no idea about. You can't just randomly pick a champion in draft, even though it's good, because it has 1,000 other counter picks. Yes, you're seeing it in hindsight. Look, they play Shen every game. They're not just going to play Shen if you pick this champ. They're going to change their pick. You got to talk about how team comps balance out. They don't understand the intricacies of draft.
Well, you experienced this. People critiqued your graphs from drafts
all the
from Reddit.
time. I got flamed, obliterated on Reddit.
You read those, right?
No, I actually didn't.
You didn't read that. How did you know about them, man?
I mean, everyone roasted me on social media. It was more Twitter.
So
I wasn't on Reddit. I was on
Twitter.
Twitter.
The same thing, Twitter.
Twitter, yeah.
Okay,
I was on Reddit,
and how did you deal with that? What
I actually purposely didn't go on Reddit because I knew I'd get obliterated. But I went on Twitter. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest with you, at that time,
this is 2017, 2018.
I mean, it's hard to remember, but I do remember I mean, I was so pissed off with my own drafts nearly every international tournament. Yeah. I think I was only happy with like one draft.
Yeah.
And the rest, I was like, okay, the flame is justified because my drafts were trash.
Okay.
So like, to be honest with you, I was already in a bad state of mind, and every Worlds was just a disaster.
Yeah.
So there wasn't anything positive to say.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, so for me, I'm not a good representation, I don't think. But yeah, my drafts were shocking.
Okay, so you just
I mean, for me, it always sticks in my mind that one game where we had we versed the Brazilian team. Is when we had Shern, game one we lost to EDG, and then Shern came back in and we versed that Brazilian team,
one,
whatever.
Yeah.
Was it team one?
Team
no,
one.
it was Infinity Esports.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Infinity, yeah.
And then we played we played this shock. It was like Skana Jungle.
Oh yeah, I remember
into LeBlanc.
LeBlanc, yeah.
With Lissandra. It was Lissandra Skana.
Ooh, that hurts.
Lissandra Skana into LeBlanc.
Yeah.
We thought, yes, cool. Lissandra's good into LeBlanc, but not with Skana. You need pure damage jungle. We had no damage. And they had he just built early QSS and we're useless.
And LeBlanc just kites the you can never ult.
Never ult.
Yeah.
And we just lost. And I was like, but people didn't understand why that decision got made. It was like a complete miscommunication in the draft phase.
Yeah.
And that just scarred me for life, dude. I didn't want to look at a single post after that.
Yeah.
That even hurts me just
thinking about
that right now. That hurts. So it's like the worst possible mid jungle you could ever draft, and I did it on an international stage, which would have, if we won that game, then we could have actually went to the best of 5. Anyway, make a very good point though. They're not trained for us, which brings me. What are the solutions? What do you suggest? What is your take on it then?
Well, again, that's why I said. Well, I mean,
you're not going to change the public though, Nathan. How?
Oh, well, that's my problem with this tweet.
You're not going to change the public.
And again, I mean, I share the same sentiment as you. Is that I think that this is great. That a lot of in football and stuff, these fans really care. And I mean, that's the way the ecosystem works.
But they're toxic because they care.
Exactly right.
That's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
It's human nature.
If no one said anything negative, then no one would give a shit.
If I was a pro player and then I have a shocking game and then all I see is like a bunch of positive comments, I don't want to see
No,
that.
I didn't want to see that.
I don't want to see
You feel
that.
ashamed, to be honest with you.
It's ridiculous.
You'd feel actually embarrassed.
Yeah. What I'm saying, the way that players should be dealing with this, again, you only care about the opinions of the people that are closest to you, that are working with you every day. And then, yes, you're going to have a serious look at the game, and it's going to be painful to watch, but you need to make sure that you're not letting the opinions of people that don't know this, that don't know, that talks about the thought process around drafts and stuff, get in your head and start messing with, am I bad? Like, everyone hates me here. Because at the end of the day, humans want to be liked and accepted. At the end of the day, that's what because in terms of survival, like if we weren't liked and accepted, we were kicked out of the tribe, and a lion comes and eats us and kills us.
Yeah, we need the protection of others.
We have to have the protection, and that's why it's always ingrained. It's like opinions. So it's hard, but again, I think that is just even harder for 17, 18, 19-year-olds who this is their first time,
and they get
on
zero
this world
training.
stage. Zero training. I mean, you're literally going into. I think that esports must be one of the only things in the world where you go from literally, I don't want to say no one, but like let's say for OS players, for example, for us, a couple of thousand followers on Twitter to literally millions of people watching
millions of eyeballs know who you are
in literally a week.
And you can make a name for yourself off one play.
In a week, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have people like explode, like, like music stars and stuff like that, but like, that's pretty rare. But like, this can be just, some random guy.
The Olympics is
yeah,
different.
okay, the Olympics
like,
probably.
Imagine when Kathy Freeman won like the 100-meter sprint, or like Usain Bolt when they randomly come up.
That's true.
Like, they can be from a nobody to famous overnight. But yeah, I see what you mean. It's up there with one of the biggest crazy things you can possibly do.
Yeah, esports is insane, and just the level of, again, how big Worlds is it's a lot of pressure, So, and again, there's just they're just set up to fail again. So
yeah, but I always feel like, I always kind of feel like, though, people always say problems and no solutions in esports in general. Like,
well, again, I think there is no solution. I don't want there to be solutions.
Yeah, I'm saying, so I don't like this discussion though, because like from Broxah.
Yeah.
So it feels like him saying that is just more complaining.
That's right.
There's no solution. If he come up and said he had a proposed solution, say, hey man, like, hey guys, I don't like this toxicity. Here is what we can do as a community, or here's what Riot can do, or whatever. Then I don't mind that.
I mean, I don't think there's anything they can do. That's just, again, that you can't beat human nature in this way. People care about sport, your team, your fan. Yep. They hate seeing you lose. They're going to complain about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Which again is great. It's the way the ecosystem works. At the end of the day, those people are still buying jerseys and putting money into the ecosystem. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, 100%.
That's technically paying their salaries.
Definitely.
So,
yeah, interesting post though.
Yeah, I think that what it comes down to is, again, the people around the players, making sure that we're still focused on our craft, focused on, being the best of all time.
So then in terms of actionable steps, what you would do if your team was going to Worlds in high, now knowing this information, you would create and actually have a candid conversation with the player saying, this is what can happen.
Yep.
This is why we don't want you to go on social media. You don't just take away their phones and shit. You say, delete social media off your phones, because they're going to go on their phones, probably talk to their family or whatever. That's possible, and their girlfriends. They delete it. This is why you got to stay off social media, because this is a reality. Even if you do well or you do poorly, it's not just matter. If you do bad. If you do well, I don't even want you to see the opinions of others. This is why we're going to really make sure we talk about everything as a team. If you have any concerns, you're not feeling good, come talk to the coaching staff, come talk to other players, get a second opinion. Don't just let it sit in your mind.
Don't sit in your hotel room reading Reddit, dude. That's the most. And that's what happens.
That's what happens.
I know
we should actually talk about that at international competition.
Yeah.
So the way Worlds works, by the way, if you're going to MSI, you go to Worlds or whatever, the way Riot does the accommodation, the whole setup, is that every player gets their own room. Okay, so envision you're in a hotel room, and every room there's a player. Well, that is good in the sense that the player gets their own space. They can reflect on the game by themselves. They're not away. They get private time, which is important to refresh, especially after intense games. But the toxic thing about it is that a lot of the time it leads to them, like you said,
you finish the game, you go
straight
straight
into your room. You're not with your team anymore. You have that. You can just isolate yourself, go into Reddit, scroll down, sit there, lie in bed, and be like, "Fuck me, I'm hated," or like,
my
whatever.
career's over.
My career's over. You start overthinking, how are we going to beat this team tomorrow? If I can't even play this, what do I do? And then you're just by yourself. You got no one to talk to. And then the chances are that that player is open enough to even talk about this with their other teammates or the coaching staff is so slim. They're probably going to be embarrassed to even bring that up.
It's like all these opinions that affected me and stuff like that.
I mean, it's not a very, it's a pretty, you might feel like a baby or whatever, you know? But, I mean, this is some massive stuff.
But I mean, I think there's also an element as well is that if you're a player performing poorly on your team and you clearly are and you know you're getting backlash, sometimes you can't even turn to your teammates and your coaches as well, because unfortunately we don't have true teams and true leadership like we've talked about on the podcast.
We've already spoken about this, yeah.
And I mean, I can't think of any Direwolves teams that we had, you know, like where
I wouldn't be equipped if someone came up to me and said that. I wouldn't even know what to say at the time. I would have no idea. Because we were never actually a team.
No.
A proper team. We weren't actually a team. Now, actually, you know, just along these lines, did you see how nervous some of those Worlds players are game one? And this is actually kind of...
I mean, the first game of Plains literally says it. The TP on the ward.
TP on the ward. Dude,
flash, like the first play of Worlds, like that just goes to say it right there.
Man, it's so... It actually... people don't understand how much pressure is on these players. It's so easy for us in the comfort of our own home say, why would you do that?
I mean, everyone was laughing and
everyone's laughing and then like these players are trash and like Brazil, Bronzil, league's greatest disappointment, you know, O's trash, like all these things. It's like the biggest example is Top Eun, right? So Top Eun is the top laner from Legacy, right? Game one that they played. Top Eun made so many mechanical errors on Camille that it was ridiculous. He would never make those. He's an insane player. He looks like a trash top laner during that game, but he was like what, challenger in Korea. He's like the best top laner, one of the best top laners O's has ever had. Incredibly good player. Definitely potentially import worthy individually. And he literally did the Camille E. He mistimed his flash and couldn't even do an E flash. He didn't do his proper hook shots, like not the full length of the E. He was actually not canceling his autos with his Q. Like he was doing so many mechanical errors. It was unbelievable. He was like missing CS and shit. It was crazy. And this is all the effect of bits of pressure playing on stage.
One of our favorite quotes, pressure is a privilege.
I just like you said, you know, this all ties into the esports ecosystem.
Yeah.
I love this topic, dude. I'm about to bring up something.
Oh, here we go.
I love this so much. Let's compare League of Legends pro players to a NFL player.
Okay.
Think about the journey that an NFL player has to take to become a pro NFL player. They start at a ridiculously young age, right? They start from you know, when they're in young school, they go like probably play touch football. I don't know what they do in America, but very young programs. And to be more specific, they're around other people. They have coaches from a very young age.
That are usually very like 50, 60, like
The
very
old coaches.
old adults with a lot of experience.
With great teaching. They're good at teaching. They're great at instilling great fundamentals. And more importantly, they have to see their competitor in the flesh. They see who they're versing. They're with them. And they're in a highly competitive environment from a young age. And think about that. Okay, say that's not for you. You don't have to continue to go on. You don't have to keep playing. But then the people who do, they try to get to college football, highly, highly competitive. Even to get to college football and play on a college football team, incredibly difficult. Athletically, the amount of time and energy, discipline, you got to be mentally and physically tough to be.
You're already training for years at that point.
You're already mentally so far ahead comparatively as a competitor as a League of Legends player would be. Yes, they might skill-wise, if we were to compare comparatively skill-wise, yes, in their own crafts, some of the amateur League of Legends players are very good. But as a competitor, completely different. These people, and think about the journey to get to that point. A League of Legends player is in their room.
You sit in your room for a couple of years.
Never see your opponent, essentially. Sit behind in your comfort zone, in your own home, in your comfy little chair, nice warm environment. You're not cold, shivering. You don't have to go into the gym at 6 a.m. in the morning to train with your teammates. You're not getting like pressured or pushed by coaching staff at a super young age. You don't have to like do all this overcome all this crazy adversity. In college football, you've done so much stuff. So by the time
you even get
By the time you even get to the point where you can
be a professional.
No, but even by the
Even
time
amateur, yeah.
even by the time you get into collegiate level,
Yeah.
college football, you are an animal mentally
Very
and
good
physically.
athlete, yeah.
And when it comes to competition, you're already weeded out. If you're not a good competitor, you are weeded out. But so many people in League of Legends, you can get away with not being a competitor because maybe in solo queue, you're not facing anywhere near the same adversity, and then randomly you're forced to go to Worlds or an international event or a grand final or like finals, you're playing on stage and you shit the bed. A lot of players just don't make it.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have such a high turnover of players.
That's why we have such high turnover of players. Mentally, they get broken, weakened. They tilt easily. They tilt incredibly easy. You think someone in college football gets in your face, destroys you in one play? You think they just give up and tilt and just don't play trash for the entire game? No.
I mean, yeah.
Well, they can.
Yeah.
They can, but
not
near as common as League of Legends.
Yeah.
People give up after the first 2 minutes when they see their teammate make a bad play.
Yeah.
You know?
Let alone them getting outplayed.
So I just think that like the competitive environment.
Yeah, again, it's
get to
unfair.
that point, it's unfair.
Currently, for a current League of
For a
Legends
current League of Legends player, you are not equipped with the skills to deal
with the pressure.
Yeah. You're just not.
Yeah.
You know, it's unfair. You can't expect this player to even play at the level that they can at home because they're not. And especially during COVID, they even played from their gaming houses, a lot of these regions. They played the LCK Grand Final from their gaming houses, Damwon and stuff like that. So it's even like emphasizing that point even more. So it's just, yeah, well, what do you think about that? Like,
yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that, and yeah, this is just going to show that we've got a lot of work to do in terms of esports.
Just the beginning.
We're just the beginning. And, that's why I said it again, we're not going to see the true, I mean, obviously we've had our fakers, we've had, imps and, Doyen Bees and stuff like that, but we're going to see the next level of competitors once we get these systems in place from when people start, 10, 11, 12. And again,
like the high school programs,
the
collegiate programs. We need to get coaching staff, better coaching staff across all these levels. The transition between the leagues need to be better. They need to figure out how to use the substitute system way better. The development programs, the sister teams, the scouting grounds, the off seasons, laning coaches, coaching staff, psychology, sporting, performance directors. All these things need to get figured out before you get real high quality, consistent competitors across the league, not just like anomalies.
That will then be able to deal with this stuff Broxah is talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Then those people, they're not going to worry about the comments. Or not. I mean, they obviously will. They'll have the skill to deal with it.
Yeah,
it's not that they're not invincible, but they have the skill set and the mentality and the discipline to be able to deal with it. I found that super interesting. So what was the other thing you wanted to cover today?
So, so I thought that was interesting. Again, just how much... And again, I recommend you read the comments as well. Just
I'll definitely take a look
at
that.
Some opinions there. Well, what we talked about the other day, Curtis, where you mentioned I thought was really interesting about... was it the Showmaker interview talking about... No, it wasn't Showmaker because Koreans don't play in China at the moment.
No,
who played on Chinese solo queue?
It was a Reddit post that I saw.
Yeah,
talking about this guy. He do I even talk about? I don't even think I spoke about this on the last podcast.
No, we didn't. No.
So I saw a Reddit post on this was like a few days ago, probably like 4 days ago, where this was a guy and he was watching Chinese streams, and he says he watches a lot of Western streamers and he watches a lot of Chinese streamers, and he speaks Mandarin. So he was listening and reading the Chinese chat. And he saw when watching these Chinese streamers that when the game was very close or even a team was behind and they knew that if they just played normally, they would lose, there's a word for, let's just go for the 50, let's just try and outplay them, like mechanically. Let's just try and outplay them mechanically and come up ahead. Take the risky play, but we'll just outplay them mechanically. And he said that he never saw that in any Western streamers, in EU, NA, that sort of thing. And he said that...
he didn't hear anyone talk about it.
He didn't hear anyone talk about it.
In the way that the Chinese players talk about it.
Right, and the way that Chinese spoke about it, it's like, no, let's just outplay them mechanically. He just never heard anyone talk about it. So he wrote this post on Reddit saying, I just found that super interesting. Like, is there an equivalent of that out there? Like, what do people think about that? When I was reading this, it reminded me a lot of something that we became very familiar with at Dials. And it was actually probably one of the biggest reasons, by the way, we won 2018.
So dominant.
And we're so dominant. And even 2017, was it 2017 or
no, it
just
was 2018 we started talking about this.
This is a very interesting story. So in 2018, I think it actually started in the Korean boot camp. The very first Korean boot camp, didn't it? It started 2018?
It must have been the start.
I think it was
the one we're in Busan.
Yeah. Anyway, So what happened was I can't remember where it spawned or where it got created. Essentially, when we had either had a bad team composition drafted, or maybe we were in a very bad situation within a game, maybe we got behind early, or we knew we needed to like win a team fight, but we just couldn't normally, if we played the normal macro game way, like trading sides, trade objectives, that sort of thing. If we knew that wouldn't work, what happened is that the players, whether it was from Korean solo queue or I don't know where they got it, they had this term called mechanics max, right? And what mechanics max, I think where it actually came from was, I think it's like in RuneScape where you can max out
max out a
skills.
specific stat.
You know, in stats, like there's certain stats, like if you play an MMO or like
strength, intellect, charisma.
Yeah, you can put all your skill points into one specific tree.
Agility.
Yeah, agility. The theory was with mechanics max is let's max out on mechanics.
No one cares about communication, teamwork, anything. God was maximize.
Let's
mechanics.
just maximize mechanics, and if we maximize mechanics, we can like outplay them, and we can just win the team fight, or we can just win lanes so hard that we don't even need to get to mid game.
All this theory stuff is out the window,
Yeah,
dude. This champion might beat me, but dude, I'll just out mechanics.
I'll just out mechanics. I'll dodge more skill shots. I'll hit more skill shots. I'll tether them better. I'll just outplay them mechanically. And what's funny is that at the time as a coach, I hated it at the time because I'm a coach, right? So I wanted to do things methodically. I wanted to be consistent, reliable. I wanted to do things the macro-oriented way that we could replicate in the future. And I didn't actually see the strengths of it at the time. And it wasn't until even now I start to realize how great that mindset is. Now, mechanics max, and then what happened in a lot of games in scrims, started in scrims, we're in scrims like everyone's like mechanics max, let's just mechanics max them, or like let's just draft this really suicidal composition with no front line and mechanics max them, destroy them in 10 minutes and win the game. And it really brought, this Reddit post really brought me back to that, where that's the same concept where what we're talking about is essentially let's just outplay them mechanically. Now, there's a lot of benefits to mechanics max.
I think it's a very powerful mindset.
It's a very powerful mindset. I agree. Why don't you care? What do you think? What do you like about mechanics max? And what are the dangers of it as well?
Okay, so recently my experience in coaching, a lot of my coaching, obviously I'm a jungle coach, so I focus a lot about pathing and decision making because, I mean, games are won and lost based on win conditions and pathing efficiently, doing your camps correctly, right? I have a mixture of players from gold all the way to challenger, and there's this one player that I work with. He's a US grandmaster, and we're doing like a live coaching session, and I told him to do one thing, and he said, no, I'm just going to do this thing, right? He's like, I'm going to play for the fight. It was like a 3 versus 4 fight, and he just executed it perfectly cleanly, and I didn't even see it. That's the thing. I didn't even see that he could win it that hard, you know? Because I'm just thinking about just play it methodically safe. It's 3 before fight, just go do something else, right? And then I'm just like, man, like the fact that he had the confidence to see this and he's just like going to maximize the mechanics at it to make this play work. It's just powerful because that's what solo queue is. Again, at the highest level, you need to be confident in your ability. Like, well, I'm disadvantaged here. I'm just going to outplay these guys. And the good thing about that as well is that sometimes the enemy team gets complacent where it's like, it's 4v3, we just win this. And you turn that, and then that's like, it swings the game so hardcore.
If you win those fights, it's game over.
It's, you know, that 3v4 fight, it's game over. And that just made me realize it's like, man, I just need to start really figuring out how to teach players to be better mechanically. And we've talked a lot about this.
Yeah, there's something we're still trying to figure out.
And all right, let's start with, what is mechanics, Curtis?
Well, actually, before we go into what is mechanics, I think another important why mechanics max, mechanics in general is very important is because at the highest level, the game becomes all about skirmishing. Right? The game is all about skirmishing.
Yeah.
Everyone knows how to play the laning phase. It's very rare that people are going to die to stupid ganks. People ward very well. They have solid fundamentals. They know how to play, like, even, you know, they understand their matchups, their trading patterns. They know the champ's identity. They know when to reset. It's unlikely there's going to be solo kills or crazy stupid ganks. Most of the time, if you even watch, even at the highest level, high elo Korean solo queue, high elo Chinese solo queue, even just at the highest level in competitive play, games are decided by skirmishing. 2v2s, 3v3s, 4v4s, and even team fighting. Now, in these situations, mechanics really come into play in game sense. And even if you have great knowledge, but you can't execute on it, it doesn't matter. at the end of the day,
And I've seen that as well as my coach says. I tell someone to do beautiful pathing, playing around win condition, that gets to the fight where they should execute. It's actually pretty easy. They mess it up. You know, like this is my gold and more platinum players. And it's like, well, we can have all the knowledge in the world, but we're messing up this mechanical stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's important, man. Like, unfortunately, we can't progress to the next level unless we do this.
And yeah, man, and it's what I've realized. The game is all about skirmishing, and I didn't realize that's actually one of the biggest reasons we actually won so much in 2018. Because mechanically, whenever it came to a skirmish, we won. We just won. We out-mechanicked them, we out-team fought them, we out-skirmished them. And then if you win a skirmish, you get incredibly far ahead. One skirmish can literally be the game.
Yep.
And if you have that mindset where, again, it's a combination of confidence, it's a combination of attention to detail. Attention to detail is the greatest element of it, because you can get into the review, and if you have this mechanics max mentality, you're always thinking, how could I have played this better?
What did I miss?
What did I miss? What ability did I not account for? How could I have avoided this? Could I have microed a little bit better?
Hold my abilities or use them instantly?
Yeah, could I have held my abilities more? Generate
time.
more threat? Could I have actually positioned it around the corner here and surprised them? What could I have done better mechanically?
Click movements. How could I have clicked better to move correctly? Did I have to go backwards, forwards?
Yeah, so all this skirmish assessment mechanics really pays dividends in the long run. And if you have this mentality, over a long period of time, that attention to detail really shines in high pressure situations as well. It shines when no one dies to ganks. It's a slow game and it turns into a river skirmish 3v3. The team that has mechanics, Max, a lot of the time is going to win. So anyway, we're talking about what defines what is mechanics.
What's mechanics?
Interesting. Well, I would say there's an element of accuracy of clicking. Accuracy of just clicking in general. So that's both skill shots, character movement. I would say also the ability to actually kind of actions per minute in a way. Getting more things done in a shorter period of time.
Yep. Efficiency.
What else am I missing?
So obviously knowing how to use your abilities that's mechanics as well. I mean, is that mechanics or is that's what I always get confused about, because a big part of team fighting skirmishing is visualizing how the fight's going to play out.
Well, whenever you think about a play that was played well, and you know how you hear that comment, that was played mechanically beautifully, beautifully. What does that mean? It means that they had the maximum amount of damage. They avoided the maximum amount of damage. They foresaw how the fight was going to play out, so they knew how to weave in their abilities essentially and know which abilities to use when. They knew how to tether. Tethering is a massive element.
What's tethering?
Well, tethering is just massive for mid lane specifically. And this is actually one of the biggest differences between me. Like, I'm 600 LP right now, and the difference between me and like an 800 LP mid laner and 1,000 LP mid laner is largely tethering. Their ability to understand the max range of getting attacked, like the range of when I can and can't attack them, and standing in and out of that circle. So like they know they bait. It's like baiting abilities essentially.
Got it. Yeah. So it's like walking forward or like pretending to walk some path and then quickly going in this next direction. The shorter your clicks are to your character, the better you can tether. Yeah. So there's a guy on our server, and I verse him all the time in mid lane. He's like a young 16-year-old kid. And his tethering and his micro is so much better than me. And he baits out abilities, which means I actually get less damage and I make myself vulnerable. So think about this. I'm playing Orianna and he's perfectly tethering my max range Q. So then as I'm walking up to hit the Q, he's already, because his clicks are so much more accurate than me, he can like avoid it. And because my clicks are slower, he can like walk around it and then get a trade back onto me. Because my clicks are slower. And that's huge.
That's huge. I mean, that trade, and you compile that same trade over like 3 minutes, and then I'm chunked out of lane and I have to recall. And then he gets a plate, or he gets a tempo reset, or he denies me 6 minions. And then there's that, and then he comes into the next fight with better items, and then I lose a skirmish. Small wins. That's how
just through tethering mechanics. No game knowledge and macro thing. Is that even? That's matchup knowledge as well. Isn't
that's matchup knowledge, but largely tethering and micro. And like micro mechanics is like within that as well, I would say. But how do you improve it?
Yeah, how did we teach that?
I mean,
how did you learn it?
Well, I let's actually another interesting thing. So let's actually talk about a player Fantix.
Yep.
Okay. So Fantix was a player on our server that he has a very, I would say, attention to detail focused mentality. This guy he was an ex pro player for us. We played with him. Then he was a Direwolves mid laner in 2017, and he became a coach and things like that. Now, he had a very attention to detail focused, like the way he was in reviews. It was always all the small details added up. Now, I spoke to him recently, and he said he focused for a good month or two straight on mechanics. And I said, how do you do that? How did you get better at mechanics? What did you do specifically? And he said that he only watched players of VODs who played like psychos and played incredibly aggressively and didn't care about macro. He watched only Knights. He watched Rookie. Who else did he watch? He watched Knights, he watched Rookie, and he watched Caps. Because if you watch them play, they play super aggressive. They play like psychos in solo queue. And they don't give it, and they'll die to ganks randomly all the time because again they're not that controlled aggression. But on the other hand, you watch Chovy, you watch even like Doimby, even though he's not like conservative, but he's definitely not a good laner micro-wise. And then you look at Showmaker, and Dopa, they play very calculated. They don't die to ganks, they don't trade kills, they don't play that mechanical style of mid laners. So he said he only watched those mid laners and literally studied their movement. He looked at their movement, their clicking, he watched their point of view cameras and studied their movement, their clicking, how are they playing their lanes, what are they doing, how they're hitting skill shots, that sort of thing. And because Knights and Rookie, they're so good at Syndra and Zoe, weaving in those auto attacks. It's so good at hitting Qs, and he just studied it. And in his reviews, he didn't give a shit about dying to ganks. He didn't care about any macro. Warding, nothing. He only looked at his micro. He only looked at which skill shot did he hit and why did he hit it, and look at why did he miss the skill shot? Could he have weaved in another auto attack? How's his clicking accuracy? He only looked at all of that. He did that for 1 or 2 months.
So there's reviews of his own gameplay and
a combination of both.
Of both, yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even think. I mean, that's obviously one way. I think. My theory, though, for improving mechanics, my theory is that you would have to use LOL. I actually improved a lot through LOL Dodge Game. LOL Dodge Game. So, but they actually changed LOL Dodge Game because I think they got sued.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's too much like League. It was too much like League.
Yeah.
So I think they changed the character models and stuff like that, and even the feeling felt a little different. But I still think it's valuable. But I used to do it a lot in Q. I would just go in LOL Dodge Game and use the skill shot game.
So was that able to warm up your hands, or will you just have better reaction?
No, it was just better for click accuracy.
Click accuracy.
Click accuracy specifically. So I tried to actively keep my clicks close to my character. Okay.
Well, this is my philosophy, Curtis. That's how I got good at Udyr. Remember I would always say, the closer you click to your character, the more control you have over your character.
It is. That's how it works.
Because if you click further away, you'll do the auto pathing. But if you're clicking
really
close, you can go in and out really quick, right?
And this is a funny thing. So I used to, Claire, another mid laner, when I was a pro mid laner, Claire used to tell me, you can tell how good a mid laner is before the minions spawn by walking in circles.
Yeah.
So what you used to do to scare your opponent, this is what you actually do as a scare tactic in solo queue back in the day. If you clicked really, really, really fast in a circle really close to your character, it would look like you're just doing donuts very smoothly. But it looks like you're just rotating, like a 360 degree. But that's because that person's clicks are incredibly fast and they're incredibly accurate. So I used to do that all the time. Before the minion spawned, I would click really close to my character, and then it would actually scare the opponent because holy crap, this guy's clicks are so fast. He looks insane.
Dude, I'm not hitting a skill shot on this guy.
And then that actually make me feel more confident.
Psychological.
Yeah, psychologically. And when I did it, I actually felt more confident. I felt like I could dodge anything. I felt like I could mechanically just outplay this guy. That was my mentality as well.
I think it also helps with focus. If you're clicking really close to your character and controlling your character, you're suddenly more focused, I feel like, in all aspects of the game. Because your brain switched on, we gotta click. This is hard, man. It's okay, we're clicking really fast. Now we're looking at the map, it starts to get you in the rhythm of high APM and high APM actions per minute. A lot of that comes down to as well is map awareness, like F keys.
Yeah. I think
watch any pro player, Curtis. I was watching a VOD of Faker. He's literally his muscle memory just to look at the F keys all the time. F
Yeah,
keys,
but that's
F
not
keys,
every
F
pro
keys,
player.
F
That's
keys.
just some. There's a lot
I
of.
feel like it's so important though, Curtis. You can't tell me it's not important.
Yeah, I think it's
he's
good.
getting more information than anyone else.
I mean, Doimbe's APM is insane with his timing.
Yeah, with his timings
timers.
as well.
That's
Yeah.
insane APM.
I think
like
that's-
he types that so fast, man. Dude, Doimbe literally types. He times the enemy buffs.
Yeah, that's what's incredible. So the
In
enemy
mid-game.
red buff. Imagine being a laner. No, having a jungler on your team with someone timing the enemy red buff. That means that he's ready to invade the red buff. Do you know how much options that
Oh
gives
my
you as a
God,
jungler,
that's
dude?
crazy.
I would love to
It's
play
like
with that.
timing enemy red buff. That's insane.
What do you say? EB and E.
Enemy blue, enemy red. ER, EB.
EB. Oh, I love that.
16. It was like 16. 1608. Enemy red. I'm like, what
If
the
you
hell?
want to be one of the world's greatest players, that's what you need to get to.
Oh yeah, it's all those small details, man, that really add up. But yeah, mechanics max, and that actually, by the way, that's actually ties into one of the biggest things with mechanics max and in Chinese solo queue and Korean solo queue, is because they're not afraid to limit test and take some risky, crazy, weird outplay
That doesn't
and
make sense.
fail it,
Yeah.
and then learn from it. Because in China and Korea, especially Korea, they just FF for 15 minutes, open. You get behind in the early game. They're not interested in doing a grinding game from behind for 35 minutes. They just want to go to the next game and win lane and make plays in the early game, which is very good for like improvement.
The speed of learning,
The
dude.
speed of learning,
You're
completing
learning.
that learning cycle so much faster.
Every 2 games you're playing in Korea is like 1 game in EU or NA, you know?
Yeah, literally. You're literally getting
But I mean,
sometimes 3 games for one.
I think it's important to different, because that can also be a toxic mindset in a while, thinking just, the go next thing. But it's like, okay, I'm like going, I want to like FF to get into the next game so I can just keep playing more mechanics.
Yeah.
I think that's more of the mindset you need to be having there.
Okay, so we've established what the benefits are of this style. What are the dangers?
What are the dangers? Well, the dangers are playing over aggressively and dying to ganks.
Okay, there's one element of it.
I don't think...
You don't think there's many?
I would say I would love to... I mean, this is what I'm thinking of doing with my coaching clients in the next like couple of months. Just literally focus in a week. We only talk about mechanics.
Yeah. So you
Like-
do a week with one of your clients and you only talk about mechanics.
All of them, yeah, skirmishing and stuff like that, mechanics. We just look at the best players and how can we make it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's so essential, because I would say a lot of the players that I coach, they're purely held back by mechanics. Because I can teach all the pathing
Yeah,
stuff,
you can
but
teach
I can't.
I mean, that also ties into that theory
mechanics.
where I would rather, if I'm a coach and we're talking about like pro players, I would rather a pro player that's got that aggressive mentality and has mechanics, because I can teach him the game. I can teach him the macro. I can teach him everything else about the game. I can't really. I mean, as a pro coach, a head coach, I couldn't teach mechanics, and I couldn't teach that aggressive mentality, that aggressive mindset to go for those plays.
It's very
make those
hard,
plays.
and I see it a lot, especially with the lower elo people that just start playing the game. They gravitate towards junglers like the Zac and the Warwick and Sedge, and they're just so far away from being good at the game because they're just playing very slow, boring champs that are very simple. Yes, you can be a Warwick, learn the game through Warwick and get to like platinum. I have some cases of that, but unfortunately, I feel like you're always disadvantaged unless if you play against a player that's gone all in on Lee Sin Nidalee to platinum.
Yeah.
I feel like that player's always better
That's
than that
why
player no
I
matter
was
what.
worse when I was originally climbing. I was always worse than other mid laners comparatively because I never played Assassins.
Yeah.
And that's what actually allowed me to level up. I only played Ori, Xerath, and shit. And then eventually I manned up and learned Zed. And I started playing like Zed and like Fizz
You're
and
good at
stuff.
it, man. You made a
and
guide on
LeBlanc.
it.
Yeah, and then I
Yeah.
got really good at it, right? But before that, I was way worse than players comparatively, even though mechanically I was probably like the same. But just the mentality they had playing those Assassins, they just were able to just skirmish wise, just so much better than me. Because I had the defense mentality heading to a skirmish. They had the aggressive mentality heading to a skirmish. That's so different.
Again, it's powerful to have the defense mindset sometimes, but
You got to know both.
you got to know both.
But we're talking. What are we talking about? Okay, in terms of long-term improvement as being the highest elo player possible, it is best to play both.
Both,
to make you
yes.
the best, well-rounded player.
It's like it's knowing when to switch on, switch off. It's like
You wanna
okay,
be
being
able-
aggressive, got some kills. Now let's start getting that advantage, small wins, and then we go again.
You want to be able to, as a jungler, you want to be able to play the aggressive Elise, Lee Sin, but then you also want to be able to play the Sejuani and the
No,
Zac.
but even at least listen, you have to know when to play defensive. There
Yeah.
is certain times when you get to concede something. At the end of the day, you can't mechanics max a Pantheon in your jungle fighting your red buff, Pantheon Sedge or something like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't. That's when you know to play defensive. Like, even if you've had a good early game, there's times where you need to be like, okay, I need to concede that. How can I do something else here?
Yeah, and it's the same for mid lane. I mean, you need to be able to.
Zed plays defensive.
Yeah, you need to be able to play defensive as an assassin sometimes. You can't just always go in and then you just die. Same as Aurelia, especially with like champions like Aurelia and Akali. You can't just go in 24/7.
Your jungler's not there.
Yeah, jungler's not in the area. You're not on your power spike. You need to be able to minimize. You need that skill set. And that skill set can actually get developed more by playing champions like the Victor, like the Orianna, like the Azir in a way. And then conversely, you need to have the other switch. You need to play very aggressively. That's why sometimes playing an Echo, having an Echo or a Fizz in your pool is or a Zed can be level you up. And I always say that actually. I always say, let's just say you're a Zed one trick. And then you got very good at Orianna, your Zed would be way better.
Yeah, your other champs actually become better.
Your other champs become better because then now I know the strength of my champ and I can abuse it more. Now I know the weaknesses of my champ even more and I can cover them. I know how to navigate those situations. Same thing. If I'm an Orianna one trick and then you learn Zed, you're going to get way better at Orianna. This is the way it works. In my experience, this is the way it works.
Yep. I mean, again, this is the story of me. I played tank junglers. That was my play style. Again, I hate that word because you play champion based on its strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, playstyle is actually
funny.
Wait, you should talk about that for 1 second. Why don't you like the word playstyle?
Why don't I like the word playstyle?
It's like I don't like the word synergy.
It's like
talk about those two words.
Okay, playstyle. Let me just turn the camera back on. It comes down to you start getting into your identity level. It's
identity level.
It's like, okay, this is for me. I talk from experience. I'm a tank player, so I have to play tank champions. Okay, and I'm just I think, and then I'm a terrible mechanical player. That's it. That's as simple as it is. And I was, and I am. And that's and just recently in the last year, as I came back to the game, after managing Dials for 3 years, I started playing these Lee Sin, Nidalee and stuff, and I lost a lot of games, but it made me so much better at even at my tank champs because I know how to play against. I know what it feels like as a Lee Sin, Nidalee to be behind.
So you're saying that if you're a player that this is my play style.
It's just a trap. It's such a trap mindset. It's like it's not. And I always talk about
because you got to be adaptable in League of Legends.
Bruce Lee, flow like water. I love that. And because League of Legends, you have to embrace the chaos of solo queue.
Yeah.
And if you're at the identity level player, it's like, this is my playstyle. And then suddenly all the champs in their pool is like that champion. I just feel like you're so disadvantaged.
You're limited.
You're so limited.
I mean, sometimes though, I actually like someone all-inning on their identity though, sometimes.
Yeah.
Because okay, let's just say the average player, they don't have the time to put the hours into the game.
That's true.
So let's just say...
I'm coming from a perspective if you want to be a top
exactly. If you want to be a challenge player. But so a lot of people, they go to university,
Yeah.
they go to work, they only have 2 or 3 hours after work to play. They don't want to spend that time learning a whole different style of mid lane.
There's definitely an element of it as well where if you all in, you start playing the game.
You get really good results by just all-inning on your identity, dude.
And all-in on your identity is good because you actually get higher elo, you play against better players, you actually become a better player.
You do become a better player. Because as well, if you all-in on your identity, you find ways to figure it out.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the devil's advocate there.
Yeah.
It's like, if you all-in on that identity, that's what I did with playing Orianna, Xerath and stuff, right? So I only play control mages. When I came up against an assassin, I didn't just be like, oh, this game's over, I can't play. I found creative ways to navigate those matchups because I was forced to. I wanted to. I had fun playing those champions, so I was incentivized to figure out a way to navigate those situations. Whether it was holding my wave in a certain spot, holding my abilities, building a certain way, pinging in a certain way, whatever, or taking certain runes or summoners and navigating them. You get very good at the game that way.
It's definitely true, yeah. I mean, again, the only way I got to rank 2 challenger as Udia was literally all the counter matchups. Like, at least was this hard matchup. I just figured out how to play.
You just found a way.
I just found a way.
And that mentality is actually really good. Sometimes.
And then that helped me learn every other champion pretty much,
Yeah, because you unlock, it's like the talent tree.
Yeah, the talent tree, you unlock
a whole new talent tree by going to that next level. Because you're at a whole different level of champ mastery. Because you don't have to think about micro and things anymore.
No.
You understand the champion identity so well. So, I mean, yeah, if you're the average player, I think all-in your identity is a very good strategy. But if you want to go pro, though, you gotta expand.
There's no such thing as play styles if you're a pro.
If you're a pro, you're
playing comps. You're playing to the meta. you got to adapt. It's adapt or die as a pro
What
player.
was the other word? So synergy.
You had synergy, yeah.
Synergy. This all came from Shern in the first conversation I had with Shern when I come back.
Yeah.
You remember that?
No, I don't.
It sticks in my mind to this day. This was before I was a coach. Remember when I was in?
Are you saying when we met Shern in Korea, the first boot camp in 20?
You remember when I came from Japan?
Yeah, the Korea first boot camp.
I was in Korea with you guys in
2016.
Busan, 2016.
Yeah.
End of 2016. And I had no idea what I was doing, right? And the first conversation I said with Shern, we're talking about we're talking about like teammates and synergy. We're talking about, I said like, oh no, that like you need to have synergy as players or whatever. I said something like that. And he said, there's no such thing as synergy. I don't believe in synergy. And it really stuck with me because I do believe I actually believe there's actually synergy is a very toxic mindset. I can't remember off the top of my head where it all started. But anyway.
So what does synergy mean? Synergy means two players?
Yeah, two players.
Two individuals that work really well together.
Yeah. Yeah. So where people use that term a lot is
in bot lane,
and
mid 2v2.
Our team, this mid jungle have insane synergy, or this bot lane have insane synergy.
Yeah.
The reason why it's a little bit toxic to think about, yes, it has advantages and disadvantages. Let's first talk about the disadvantages. Is it brings it away from the specifics. It brings it away from what specifically is allowing this to work. You can't just tie it down to synergy.
They just got good synergy.
They just got good synergy. That's why they work. That's why they're winning.
That's the end of the
end of discussion.
Yeah.
They're just, oh my god, that team is that bot lane. They have so much synergy. Let's be more specific here. Like, let's get into the nitty gritty. What are they doing specifically that is allowing them to take good trades or win this matchup or get pressure on this wave? Yes, they may be, and this is where I prefer the word alignment. They are aligned on how they need to play this matchup. They are aligned on their roles, or they understand what each other's roles are in that comp. They understand each other's roles in this 2v2. If you're playing Thresh Ashe, they know how they need to navigate that matchup together. They're aligned on how they view the matchup 2v2. So I like to be more specific and use the word alignment, because whenever I hear synergy, it's like, well, what am I going to take away from this? They're just synergy. They're just better players, or like, how do I get synergy? Yeah. So then the discussion leads to, well, okay, if they have synergy, how do we get synergy? Or like, okay, we got to play more games together, and it's
it's the context that it's used. It's not so much the word itself; it's the context that synergy is used.
It's not really the word; it's the context it is used and what happens as a result of using the word.
Yeah.
And Shern believed anyway that like any synergy tied directly with play styles.
Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
So like when he was saying when he hated when like coaches were trying to get a team together and they said this person has a good play style or this play style should work with this play style. He was saying, no, if a person has a play style as a pro player, they're not going to be good anyway. You can't have a mid laner that has a play style. You can't have a jungle that has a carry play style. No, they got to be able to play utility. They got to be able to play carry. Same as a mid laner, they got to play utility. They got to play carry. Those are play styles, and that's what he said after that. Play styles are trash. There's no such thing as synergy. They're either a good player or they're a bad player. That's what he said to me. And in my mind, I was in full defense mode. Like, no, what are you talking about? Surely there's synergy. Like, what about this player and this player? He said, no, they're just good players. They're just
all round very good players.
They're just all good players.
Perfect example. Wait, who's that guy, Curtis? That got Korean Challenger every single role, every single champion, 130 champs. He played all champs.
Oh, Showmaker.
Was that Showmaker?
Showmaker got he played all different.
Isn't
champs,
that such a perfect example?
Showmaker played every champ.
He's a damn good player, and he's one of the world's best players.
And
he plays. What he did? He did A to Z.
He played every mid champ. Oh no, he played every champ.
Every champ
and
every
in
role.
other roles as well. But he tried to play them all mid. But he played every champ essentially. Okay. Yeah, he's an insane player,
and he's one of the best players in the world.
Yeah,
that says something.
Yeah, he's insane. He was like a cat one trick.
He was a Katarina one trick. All right, that's a perfect example. Katarina one trick into playing every single.
But I always say that cat one tricks. It's like a really bad way to learn the game.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like ruins my theory.
Got it.
But I still think he's just an anomaly.
Okay.
I mean, yes, you learn that aggressive play, that style, which is good. But I still think if you rely on Katarina, you don't learn all the fundamentals of mid lane because you have no mana.
Yeah.
You can't manage the wave. There's no wave management. Wave management doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's bad.
Mana rationing doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You can't ever. You have to rely on roams to get because you lose nearly every single 1v1 matchup. It teaches some things a lot, like positioning in team fights, like taking into account CC, side lane awareness, things like that. But there's a lot of things you don't learn. So I think I'm a bit hit or miss with that. I'm still on the edge. I'll
tend to agree. I think Katarina is bad to learn.
And in my experience, Katarina one tricks that I coach that they try to learn other champs, they struggle so hard.
They're probably like 3 whole divisions.
Oh, dude, if you're a D4 cat one trick, you're literally sometimes like a gold 3 mid laner.
Yeah, fascinating.
It's bad.
Oh, that brings me to another thing as well, Curtis. I didn't realize this is sort of tied to mechanics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that play on locked camera.
Oh, dude, I have that in my coaching clients all the time. It's bad. It's bad.
I never thought about this because I thought you couldn't get
you play with
you
it?
couldn't get past bronze with a
I thought that was
camera.
the first thing you have to fix.
I literally just had a diamond client join locked camera. He only plays on locked camera.
Oh man, how hard is it for skirmishers to review them? Because they're not soaking in any information.
It's coin flip. Everything's coin flip.
I don't know. You might even watch this podcast. I have this guy.
Yeah.
You know the world's best silver player?
Yeah. You love talking about him.
Yeah, I have this client. He's the world's best silver player. And he TPs to skirmishes and he plays on locked camera, right? So when he TPs in, his camera's on his champion TPing. So when he gets into the fight, he has no idea what's happening.
That's great.
He's going in blind.
He's going in blind.
He's like, I'm going in, guys. Let's wonder what's going to happen on the other side.
I love that.
And like, I was crack up. It actually happened in the live coaching session. He's like Cassidy and the TP said he can't see what's happening. And he has to like instantly assess the situation. And it cracks me up, dude.
Dude, there's no way
that he's good.
I would want to play. And he's good.
He's good.
Dude, locked camera. Okay, if you're listening to this.
And the other thing, he's like Cassidy, he goes to a skirmish, right? And he's like, the jungles are fighting and he has no idea what's happening. So he's so scared. So he has to go around the long way. And if he just walks there, he just gets a kill. And the Nunu flashes away because he's too scared to go in. He doesn't know if Nunu snowboard or like what's happening.
Oh, that's the funniest thing.
It's like, you miss so many opportunities when it's so bad, dude. It's like the number one thing.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize. I was like, wow, that's a thing people can actually get.
Like it's a diamond.
Unlocked camera.
Like it's a diamond, dude.
So obviously we laugh about it. It's probably people out there like locked camera curse and Nathan just laughing at us. But
it's not good.
You miss out on too much information.
Way too much.
I cannot make. We're laughing at it because we can't even make the best play because we don't have the information.
I would struggle playing.
I would struggle, and a lot of the coaching that I do,
because League's all about information, processing information. That's all it is.
One of the first principles I say is League of Legends is an information-based game.
It is.
The more information we have, the better decisions we can make.
Yes.
The less information the enemy team has, the worse decisions they'll make, and that comes into vision control and denial, right? That's at the base core. That's what it is.
Yeah, information, and the more information you can process, that's what happens over time when you get better at the game with more experience. You just process more information
quickly, and you can make better decisions.
And it just happens as it's like your default response.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's bad. It's a huge problem.
Okay, so if you play on locked camera right now,
it's so easy to fix. I told people the solution.
What's that?
You go into practice tool.
Yeah.
Take it off.
Remove it. Just take it off. Yeah.
And CS. Just CS. Kill jungle camps. Chill. Do that for
a couple of hours.
Play music. Literally bring up Spotify, alt tab, play with music, relax, have fun, man. Listen to your favorite song, get a playlist popping, and just sit there and CS, farm bots, whatever. Do this for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Then go into a normal game or even a bots game. Go to maybe even a bots game. Finish that. Go into a normal game. Unlock camera. Within the space of 2 hours. It's done. You'll feel
2
fine.
hours?
I honestly think in 2 hours, you can go from can't even navigate to you'll be completely fine.
Okay. That's good advice, Curtis. I'll start telling.
That's all I say. And just relax. You can play music. You don't even have to try hard. It's just the feeling of it.
You've got to put in the hours because you've got it. You just simply cannot play League of Legends. You can't improve.
You can toggle it when you're sometimes in certain situations. Some pro players toggle it.
Yeah, during team fights and stuff.
Sometimes they can toggle it.
80 season.
Yeah, 80 carries sometimes toggle it, and like you can sometimes even toggle it in laning phase if you want to. But you need to be able to get comfortable with not using it, and that's the dangerous thing. Skirmishes and things like that, you can't have it. Or when you're just panning your camera to a 2v2 or like whatever is happening.
Yeah,
you need to know.
Oh, I think that's so funny. That's the funniest thing ever. The Cassidy.
Oh, it's funny as
TPing blind.
Yeah, TPing blind, going in blind.
And the funniest thing is he's just like looking at his character in the base, like getting ready. It's like
he's just looking at the TP animation.
What's gonna happen?
What's gonna happen?
Oh, that's good.
It's hilarious.
That made my day. That made my week, Curtis. That's the funniest thing.
It's a funny one, man.
All right. Anyways, I think that maybe we should wrap it up for episode 5 here.
Positive note to wrap it up on.
All right. So a couple of housekeeping things.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to work it on iTunes. I think it takes about a month. I think that
Holy
Apple's
shit.
really strict on this stuff, so I'm still figuring it out.
Jesus.
We've made a new YouTube channel. You're watching this on a new YouTube channel.
Yep.
I guess it doesn't even matter because if they're watching this, they have
They're
to
already
be
on
subscribed.
it. So I'll make a post. I will have made a post by
yeah,
now.
yeah, and I'll
saying,
post on mine as well.
Post on yours. We're creating the new YouTube channel. All
Yeah.
the episodes will be on this YouTube channel from now on.
And we're thinking of doing some clips
we'll
things as
probably
well.
we might even do a separate channel.
I think
We'll keep it for the same for now.
I think we keep it ourselves
Okay,
for
keep it
now.
the same for now.
It's not like we're in millions of subscribers,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Cool. Good sesh. And
We'll see you next time. Next Sunday night. No, wait. No, that's this episode. Sorry.
Friday, isn't it? Friday morning. Yeah, we record Thursday, so it's Friday morning, isn't it?
Yeah, but Thursday night for American, European people. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Thanks everyone for
Peace.
listening. We'll see you in Broken by Concept episode number 6.